This is CBC Here and Now.
A very rare charge sparked an RCMP press conference today and an update on human trafficking.
People are like, no, this is not happening here. So hopefully this gives a very concrete example of that.
That's coming up.
While the team name remains the same, the league they're playing in will be different. The Newfoundland Rogue are back.
We wanted to push ahead, we wanted to put a good product, we wanted to finish what we started, and we're delighted that we're going to have this.
We'll tell you all about it coming up on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. We'll get to those stories in just a few minutes, but we begin tonight with the recovery of a body from the waters off the Avalon. Police and search and rescue crews were in the town of Logie Bay Middle Cove, Outer Cove today. The RNC confirms that a body was recovered from the water around noon. The individual has not been publicly identified. Police say the body will be brought to the office of the chief medical examiner for further investigation. And it's a tragic end to the search for a missing St. John's man. Police say a body found in the Freshwater Bay area on Friday is that of Joshua Nolan. The 25-year-old had been missing for more than a month. Police have not released the cause of Nolan's death. Well, we have more details tonight on the two men accused of taking part in a pair of violent home invasions in St. John's on Monday. As Terry Roberts reports, one of the accused is no stranger to the courtroom. The other has never been convicted, but was behind bars just hours before Monday's crime spree.
Jonathan Hurley came into the court with a chip on his shoulder, defiant, animated, not afraid to interrupt the judge.
Jonathan Hurley? Yes, it is, yeah.
Like he'd been here before.
And that's exactly the case. Jonathan Hurley has a history of violence, robberies, drugs, and his criminal record, well, look at this, longer than most university papers.
This week's charges, part of a pattern. Breaking into homes in 2009, convictions for uttering threats, theft, drug trafficking, to name a few.
In 2018, Hurley was sentenced to nearly 3.5 years for his role in an armed robbery at a Mount Pearl pharmacy, disguised, armed with a knife.
Justin Haynes is the second man accused in this week's home invasions. He was behaved, quiet during his court appearance.
Haynes has never been convicted in a Newfoundland and Labrador courtroom. A clean sheet, as they say.
But Haynes has been in trouble. Recent assault charges. Was released on conditions Monday afternoon. A few hours before a quiet evening turned violent for a man and a woman in their 30s on Beaumont Street. The man was stabbed and seriously injured, with Hurley facing the aggravated assault charge. An elderly couple, ages 90 and 88, on Maunders Lane were attacked later in the evening. They were at home watching the news when the intruders burst in. Police say the invasions were random and unprovoked. The search for that third suspect, meanwhile, continues. Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, it's a first for the RCMP in this province, laying human trafficking charges. A previous charge nearly a decade ago was later withdrawn. The Mounties have also disrupted a highly organized drug trafficking network spanning several provinces. Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm reports.
Project Badminton began 30 months ago and targeted a drug trafficking network operating across several provinces. It also involved human trafficking. During the operation, the RCMP seized several weapons and drugs, like 5 kilograms of cocaine with a street value of about $500,000, 16 pounds of marijuana, and 3,000 counterfeit oxycodone pills laced with fentanyl and THC.
Criminals who manufacture and traffic these pills have zero concern for the well-being of those who will ingest them, and every concern for the profit that they'll make. We urge anyone using illicit oxycodone or counterfeit pills to always have access to a naloxone kit.
4 people were arrested, among them Dominic Delisle, charged with 5 offenses, and Eric Mello, facing 3 charges. More charges are expected for both. One of the charges Delisle faces is human trafficking.
We're dealing with one victim, but it's suffice to say that Dominic Delisle has been involved in this activity for over 15 years of human trafficking. It was very evident during the course of an investigation that his activity was going to continue.
When people think of human trafficking, they usually think of human smuggling across international borders and the use of chains, physical confinement, and violence. The fact is that human trafficking in Newfoundland and Labrador is present, and it's important that we raise awareness of how to recognize it.
This is just the second human trafficking charge laid by police in the last 12 years. The charge is rare, but not the crime. The Blue Door program works with victims. Angela Crockwell says it's not easy for them to go to the police.
I think there's a lot of shame and a lot of stigma. People are often very manipulated and are told that this is their fault or that they are choosing to do this, and all of those things really make it difficult for people to step forward.
The RCMP says the investigation is ongoing. Investigators say to expect more arrests. Henrike Wilhelm, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, it's a perfect night to step outside and talk about the perfect weather outside today, especially for parts of the island, not so much up across Labrador. But let's take a look, another live shot outside at the Narrows there just behind me. An absolutely beautiful evening. Those temperatures right now at 20 degrees, a bit humid, feels more like 23 with that humidex, and a bit breezy as well. Westerly winds around 28 kilometers per hour. Now, taking a look at what's going on right now, we do have an area of low pressure up affecting Labrador, and lots of showers associated with that as well. In fact, we are seeing temperatures, or rather rainfall amounts yesterday around 95 millimeters from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. yesterday in Wabush, and that record was of 65.4 millimeters back in August 2010. So definitely lots of rainfall there. Now, it's still raining. We do have some ice pellets there as well, but about 123.7 millimeters of rain has fallen so far in Wabush. There's some more on the way for parts of Labrador. I'll get into the full details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, 76 Afghan refugees arrived in Newfoundland and Labrador earlier this week. According to the province, many of them, quote, served and sacrificed alongside Canadian armed forces back in their home country. The Association for New Canadians is helping those individuals and families settle into their new lives. Abdul Manan Maraban is one of those newcomers. He's worked in live television back in Afghanistan and says the Taliban has taken everything away from his people.
After coming Taliban, we lost that we have in Afghanistan. All things, our activities, our education, our all things that we had in our life, we lost everything. You feel how changed, yeah.
Well, Human Rights Watch says the Taliban's takeover has given way to a human rights crisis in Afghanistan and a humanitarian catastrophe. You can hear more of our conversation, as well as what the Association for New Canadians is doing to support those 76 newcomers. That's ahead in about 25 minutes. Well, now to some sports news. After COVID shortened their first season, the Newfoundland Rogues basketball team is returning to the Mary Brown Centre. But this time they'll be playing in a different league. For fans, it means some familiar foes will be coming to town. Our Jeremy Eaton explains.
I thank the team for coming back and supporting us through the COVID.
It was a rocky first season for the Newfoundland Rogue. First, their record 6 straight wins, but then came COVID. Owner Tony Kenny didn't want to give up on his hoop dream.
We wanted to push ahead. We wanted to put a good product. We wanted to finish what we started, and we're delighted that we're going to have this.
The name, owner, and head coach remain the same, but the American Basketball League is out and TBL is in.
TBL is a 6-year-old league that started as a concept that I got from my time in Canada. When I was the commissioner of the NBL Canada, I thought that, man, this is such a cool league in Canada. Why don't we have something like that in the U.S.?
His focus now is growing his league north, thanks to a partnership with the NBL Canada. St. John's is the first of many teams, he hopes.
We want to be in Halifax. We want to be in St. John. We want to be in PEI. We want to be in Moncton. We want the Maritimes back. Now, that may come back in the NBL form, not in TBL. So my role is I've taken on a partnership with the NBL Canada to help them expand.
The Rogue will join a yet-to-be-announced Quebec-based team in TBL, but they will play games in January against NBL Canada teams, similar to the ones that the St. John's Edge played against. Head coach Jerry Williams says he's talking to lots of talent, but this picture posted to the Rogue social media sites has gotten lots of people talking. Williams and retired NBA All-Star Ron Artest.
Oh, Ron is my guy, man. You know, we've been talking to Ron since the season ended last year. He was very interested in, you know, playing and trying to help us continue the season and things of that nature. So, you know, I talked to him a lot. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe he'll be in St.
Is there
John's
any chance that Ron Artest could
Maybe.
play?
I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no, but maybe. We'll see.
In the meantime, he's busy trying to get a roster together for 2023.
I have to take my time and pick the guys that's going to be right for the city. So, you know, I don't want to rush this thing. We have until January. Like I said, I've been working since we left here last year.
But here's the question, and it's the same old question. Can St. John's support 2 professional basketball teams?
Every other country in the world has multiple leagues. You know, you go to Germany, there's 5 or 6 leagues. So why can't 2 leagues, especially 2 that really don't overlap much in schedule, play at the same time?
The team will play 28 games at the Mary Brown Center starting in January. The hope? Fill up these seats with fans. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, today a group of energy executives stepped out of the boardroom and into the barber chair for Shave for the Brave. It's a long-running fundraiser for Young Adult Cancer Canada. Now, this year's event raised more than $250,000 to help young people on their cancer journey. Here now, Zach Gowdy dropped by and gave the executives their first glimpse of their shiny new looks.
All right. Clippers are coming. Now, you can start those clippers and get it going. Personal choice how you want to do this, and you go at it however you feel comfortable. Look, oh yeah, she's starting from the back. Adair is right down the middle, no bones about it. This is the time when we tell you that there's no way to back out. A huge round of applause for these shavers up here today. Amazing.
What do you think of your new look?
You know, I haven't really looked at it yet, so it's a bit of a mystery up there, to be honest.
You want me to turn the viewfinder around so you can see yourself?
Yeah, actually, let's do that. Turn it around.
Here we go. There you go.
Yeah, kind of like a. Let's go with Bruce Willis. Like,
I like that, very Bruce Willis.
Yeah, that's where that's what I'm going with.
I haven't really seen it yet.
Okay, you ready for a big reveal?
What's that? Yeah.
I'm going to turn the viewfinder around so you can see yourself. Here we go. What do you think?
Oh my goodness. Wow. Manageable. It's manageable. In the context of what we're dealing with here, it's manageable.
All right, there you go. Take a good look. What do you think?
It's a different person, so I wonder what my wife will say. I have a very good explanation, so it's very easy for me to talk about the good purpose of doing this.
How do you think this new look will go over at the next board meeting?
Pretty good, I think. Most of those guys balled themselves, so yeah, should be fine.
What happened? She happened. Anna Snow is part of Canada's national kickboxing team. She's heading off to Italy for World Championships. That story coming up.
Well, we added another 20-degree day today here in St. John's. A couple other areas as well. I'll break that all down for you in the full forecast coming up.
All right, time to check in with Ashley. It's great to have you back, Ashley. It's good to see you and all of that sunshine out there today. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, just want to do a quick shout out to Ryan and Jeremy for filling in for me for the last little bit while I was sick. But yes, on the mend now and outside tonight because it is an absolutely gorgeous evening down here at Harborside Park in St. John's. And, you know, temperatures this afternoon were beautiful as well. Let's take a look at those numbers across the province, particularly for a good chunk of the island. In fact, about 21 degrees in Badger, same thing for Deer Lake, well, around 20 degrees Lassie, and then really anywhere east of that, those temperatures were into around 22 degrees, even in St. John's, Marystown, same thing. Much different story though. Up across Labrador, around 11 degrees in Cartwright, 17 in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and only 6 degrees in Lab City, and lots of rainfall. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but 123.7 millimeters so far has fallen. So taking a look at the number of 20-degree days, we're at about 73. Today was makes it a total of 73 days, so a little bit more than last year. And typically we see about 53 days around 20 degrees. So definitely some warm temperatures, and that's the case even through Gander, Deer Lake, you're in the 80s, and then for Stephenville about 66 days, still at about 37 for Lab City. So you are above where you should be average wise for the year. So certainly we are going to say goodbye to the 20-degree temperatures though for most areas really for the next couple of weeks, next week I should say, but we still have a couple of weeks left in September. Taking a look at what's going on right now, you can see that rotation counterclockwise over an area of low pressure. That is what's bringing all of that rain up across the big land. Can't see that because there is no radar, but we are seeing lots of rain. Unfortunately though, some cooler air is mixing in at the moment, and in fact Wabush is recording ice pellets at the moment as well. So as that cold air moves in, we are going to see the transition to wet snow likely in that higher elevation. We could see accumulation, a couple of centimeters is certainly possible, but anything just to the west of that, east of that rather, should stay as rain through the overnight. And it's generally going to be an unsettled night pretty much across the board. Now rainfall amounts still have a special weather statement for Churchill Falls and the Valley, where you could see somewhere between 20 to 30 millimeters more rain, and that's falling from now through to tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures tonight are going to hover around that 1 degree mark, which is exactly why we're going to see that potential for some wet snow in the higher elevations. Otherwise, single-digit lows tonight for the rest of the big land. Same thing for the northern peninsula, and then just barely about 10 to 12 degrees for the rest of the island, with those winds generally out of the southwest between 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. So that area of low pressure is going to head offshore, but it's still going to be our weather maker for the next couple of days. It's essentially going to stall, and that's going to keep things unsettled right across the board. Now, it likely won't be fully gray. We'll probably see a few peaks of sun, particularly for the west coast through central and even eastern areas of the island as we head into the afternoon hours tomorrow, but still looking at that chance of showers pretty much across the board. Some of that heavier rain making its way towards coastal areas of Labrador as well. And again, you could pick up 40 to 50 millimeters of rain in that time frame through to tomorrow. Taking a look at the temperatures for eastern areas of the island, between 15 and 16 degrees. Those winds out of the southwest between 30 and 50 kilometers per hour. Again, likely not fully gray. We may see a few peaks of sun in the mix, but they will be generally gray for the most part as you head through central. Similar temperatures, so a little cooler than today, 15 to 17 degrees the story for you. West coast, those winds will be out of the northwest between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, between 14 and 17 degrees through the day. And then similar temperatures as you head towards the northern peninsula, and a bit cooler for Labrador. Now you are looking at a northwesterly wind between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, and again with that heavy rain. Still going to hang on to that chance of some snow in the mix in the morning, at least for Lab West. Eventually that will transition to rain as those temperatures bump up. Still going to be a bit breezy though. And unfortunately, the chance of flurries is going to stick around for a little while, but I'll get into the long-range forecast when I come back.
I'm here in Paradise at Warrior Elite Kickboxing. This is the gym where my guest, Anna Snow, is training for a big competition in Italy. How are you feeling?
I'm like really nervous, but super excited as well. But, you know, it's like a big thing for me. I've like never done anything like before, so.
Now, you've done some competitions, obviously, because I've seen you practice, and people are watching you practice right now as we speak. So you've gotten pretty good at this. What kinds of competitions have you done up until now?
Just like local tournaments. I did a lot of like Taekwondo when I was younger, and I've only done like 2 or 3 kickboxing things locally, and then I've done a couple boxing fights as well.
So walk me through the process, because I don't know a lot about how kickboxing works compared to other sports like hockey and baseball. How did you make a national team?
My coach thought I was like good enough to do it, so I went to Toronto and tried out, and I went there for 2 days. It was a 2-day tryout. I came back and they like emailed and just said you made the team and you can go to Worlds if you make the team.
How did you get into this sport? Because how tall are you?
5 foot.
Right, so didn't your parents try to push you into ballet or other things?
I think I just like my parents thought I would like it, so they put me in it, and I was really young, so I just kind of was like, okay, I went with the flow, and I loved it, I think, so.
What is it about this sport that you like so much?
Probably the aggression of it. Like I just really like sparring and like honestly just like hitting people. And I think
you seem so nice.
I am, but like not when I spar, I guess.
When you tell people, people meet you and say, okay, nice young teenage woman. What do you like to do? Do you tell them I'm a kickboxer?
In cases, but if like a teacher asks me, like I also play other sports, so I probably just go with that first, because people don't really, they say like you're in kickboxing and they want to know everything about it, and it's like a lot to explain.
Last question for you. Obviously, I think a lot of people dream of going to anywhere in Europe just on a vacation. You're going there for a major sporting event. What are you looking forward to about going to Italy for this amazing World Championship experience?
The shopping. I think that's probably what I'm most excited for, but I would really like to win when I'm up there too.
Okay, well listen, I think it's only fitting that you're 15 years old, you're a kickboxer, but I'm glad that shopping is the number one thing, because no matter what happens, the shopping in Italy is guaranteed. And who knows, you might make some a little bit of sporting history there by winning or not. But either way, it's going to be a great experience. Thanks a lot for your time, and good luck.
Thank you.
Fred Holloway is Anna's coach. He's also the owner here at Warrior Elite Kickboxing. So Fred, what are Anna's strengths? She doesn't look very big.
She may be small, but she packs a punch. She's a super intense competitor. She doesn't back down from a challenge. She trains here tirelessly.
How long have you been her coach?
I've been coaching Anna since she was about 6.
6?
6.
So she's 15 now, so that's 9 years of this. So she made up her mind about this sport at a young age.
I would say so, yeah. She's already accomplished her black belt, and she trains our young kids here at the club as well.
Now she's getting ready for this major tournament. A lot of people watching don't necessarily know a lot about the kickboxing world. Should mention he's also a national champ, he is right now. What's this big tournament in Italy all about?
So it's the Waco Junior World Championships for kickboxing. There will be all countries involved, upwards of a couple of thousand competitors in anywhere from, I think, 10-year-olds to 18. She'll be fighting in the full contact division. So it's a win or lose fight, and that's it. It's a big travel for one fight.
So for an athlete at this stage, she's 15, kickboxer. Obviously, she's not at what would be her peak or her prime by any means. How important is this for an athlete like Anna?
Well, the big thing for fighters is getting confidence. Being able to do big competitions like this helps boost confidence, will help her grow in the ring. Kickboxing has now been introduced into the Olympics. We're shooting for, I think, 2028 LA Olympics. At the time, she'll be 21, so with another 5 or 6 years of training, she should be in her prime, and hopefully she'll be able to represent her country at the Olympics.
What's it like to coach somebody like Anna? What do you like about being her coach?
How easy she makes it. Seriously, she's very susceptible to any instruction. She, jumps on it the minute you kind of correct something. She takes it, goes with it, fixes it, and that kind of aspect. She doesn't back down, kind of get confused. It's just pick it up and go.
All right. Well, obviously you must be proud making the national team. A province the size of Newfoundland, punching above its weight, so to speak. Congratulations, and we'll keep our eyes on her at the competition.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Punching above its weight. Good luck to Anna. She leaves for the World Championships in Italy in 2 weeks. She and her coach say they're always looking for sponsors and assistance for future international championships. Having made Canada's national team for the World, she says her next target is Canada's Olympic team. Well, this is Mehraban. He is one of 76 refugees from Afghanistan who arrived in St. John's this week. Welcome to Newfoundland.
Thank you. Hello for everyone in Newfoundland. Thank you for accepting me. Finally, I am here. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And coming up, we'll hear about his hopes for the future and the life he left behind. Hundreds of refugees have arrived in this province over the past year, and much of the spotlight has been on Ukrainians fleeing the Russian invasion. But this week, 76 refugees from Afghanistan arrived in this province, hoping to start a new life. It's been just over a year since the Taliban's takeover in Afghanistan. The United Nations has called on the international community to not forget about the ongoing humanitarian crisis there, the fear, the violence, including the systematic attack on the rights of women and girls. This afternoon, we spoke with one of the 76 refugees who just arrived in this province. Welcome to St. John's.
Thank you. Finally, I'm here. I'm so much happy. Thank you so much.
Can you paint us a picture of the life that you're leaving behind? What it was like for you since the Taliban took over, what it's been like for your family and your friends and the women in your life?
I had a lot of change in my life because we had some normal life in Afghanistan. After coming Taliban, we lost that we have in Afghanistan. All things, our activities, our education, our all things that we had in our life, we lost everything. You feel how changed. Yeah. Life is like some series or some movie, you know, it has some parts, and we passed our first season of life in Afghanistan, and now our new season is started in Newfoundland, and maybe it's our luck, maybe the gods want to come here. Because of that, I want to be an interested and benefitful person in your society. It's my hope. Yeah.
And tell us about why you wanted to come to Newfoundland.
Because I want to have a good life, and I want to live in this type of nature and this type of weather. That's the reason I came in Newfoundland. Yes.
Has anyone told you about the winters here yet?
Yeah. Everyone who asked me, you want life here? Yeah, I said to him yes. And after that, he said me, there is so much hard winter, but I like so much winter.
And what are your hopes for being here in Newfoundland? Do you plan to stay in this province, and what do you hope to do?
At first, I see here because I like the weather of here so much, and if I find a good job, and after that I will be here. Yeah. Now 50% I want to stay here because the weather is so much amazing. When I move from this city to another city, I will come back here because because I find some new friends here. Because of visiting them, I will come here. Yes.
What do you think would keep you here, though? Like, if you had the right job, the right setup, what is your ideal living situation? Because in this province, we are looking to keep as many people here as possible. So whenever we have newcomers here, we hope that they will stay and make a life for themselves in Newfoundland. What would you need to stay here?
I need first. I'm new here. And I can't see all the things must be perfect for me here. But at first I must hard try to learn your culture, your all things you have in society. You know. After that, I find my dream jobs like TV jobs. It's my first dream job, working at TV. If it's before, after that I'll be here. Just it. Yeah.
Well, I can definitely see you working in TV. Thank you so much for speaking with me, and welcome once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Newfoundland. Thank you so much.
So 76 refugees came to Newfoundland this week. What more can you tell us about them?
Well, 76 is just a small portion of the Afghans that are here in Newfoundland that started arriving last July. And they have lots of different backgrounds. So we have folks that worked for the Canadian Armed Forces, the U.S. Armed Forces, for NATO, and in many different positions. So you'll find people who are cooks, people who are security, people who are administrators. We also include in our group some judges, some lawyers, and other groups that are typically persecuted when situations like what has happened in Afghanistan happen.
Myself, I came to Canada as a refugee, and I know what it feels like to leave that life behind. As Meherban said earlier, it's like a series. You leave a chapter behind and you open a new chapter in your new country where you make your life.
A lot of attention has been paid to Ukrainian refugees. We see the war every day on television. What would you like people to keep in mind when it comes to Afghanistan and refugees from Afghanistan and remembering what they're going through?
Well, I like to say, no matter what color you are, what race you are, what religion you believe, it is our human right to help other brothers and sisters, and we have to accept them.
One of the things that commonly happens to refugee groups is when they stop being headline news, we forget that those situations are ongoing. So much like many of our neighbors, friends, and new peers that have come from Afghanistan or Ukraine, there are conflicts that are still protracted, they're still ongoing, and these groups are still arriving. And all of these groups are really deserving of our help and our attention. With the Afghan situation, there has been some delays in getting families here, and unfortunately we've seen a really big drop in the interest for this group. And so we really are kind of calling Newfoundlanders and Labradors to remember all of our neighbors, friends, and colleagues that are coming to the province as newcomers, and reach out and offer those friendly welcome like they have for all groups over time. We know that that is a never-ending resource, and we're just so thankful for the support of our province.
Well, demand for cut flowers has soared since Queen Elizabeth's death, and florists from the other end of Europe are rushing to meet it. In southern Turkey, women are collecting carnations to make bouquets. They're then boxed and rushed to the airport to be flown to the United Kingdom. Turkey estimates more than 500,000 flowers will reach England as the nation mourns its late queen. More Queen Elizabeth coverage after the break. Members of Parliament have offered dozens of tributes to the Queen today. They were called back to the House of Commons from their summer break for a special sitting to honor the Queen. In his opening remarks, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau offered a personal remembrance, and in his first address to the House since becoming Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre reflected on the important role the Crown plays in our system of government.
The separation of symbolic authority from political power allows partisan politics to be contested fearlessly without threatening the enduring constitutional order. Parties and politicians come and go, the Crown endures.
Her conversations with me were always candid. We talked about anything and everything. She gave her best advice on a range of issues. She was always curious, engaged, and thoughtful. Canadians can be forever grateful for her counsel.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh called the Queen a figure of stability, and he hoped that her son, King Charles, will help meet the challenges of reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet offered condolences to anyone grieving the loss of the Queen and to the people of the United Kingdom. The House also adopted a unanimous motion of support for the new king. Well, tens of thousands of people from the UK and beyond have made the pilgrimage for a moment to pay their respects to Queen Elizabeth. The lineup is more than 6 kilometers long, and it's getting longer even though people are moving past the coffin 24 hours a day. The CBC's Abby Kugadasan is there.
People streaming out of the Palace of Westminster say seeing the Queen's coffin with their own eyes was a devastating dose of reality.
To see our Queen, yeah, powerful, and yeah, what an example. Beautiful, awesome. Yeah, I feel very privileged indeed.
Waiting in line for 7-8 hours, strangers became friends. Wearing wristbands with numbers indicating their place in line, they were able to step out to get food or use the washrooms. Some 500 portable toilets have been set up along the route.
She's just been there all the way through. What a person. There'll never be another one like her. Sorry, I'm starting again.
Her 70 years on the throne respected too by some from former colonies who separate the woman from the institution.
She was like my mom, and we've grown up with her. I mean, I'm in this country last 43 years. I never missed not even a single day of speech when she is doing the Christmas speech.
Others inched along the River Thames and zigzagged their way through airport-style security to say goodbye, to show respect for the Queen, but not the Crown that committed atrocities against their ancestors.
There is history, and you cannot erase history. I think it's a discussion that will continue, should be had. People learn, people have different opinions, and you respect those opinions.
All this will come to an end on Monday. That's when the Queen's coffin will be moved from here to Westminster Abbey for a state funeral steeped in British tradition. 2,000 guests will be there, and millions more will be watching from around the world. Abby Kuwadasan, CBC News, London.
I'll join Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault live in London on Monday for a CBC News special covering the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. You can follow our coverage wherever you are, beginning 6:30 Island time, 6 o'clock in most parts of Labrador. It will air on CBC TV, CBC News Network, cbcnews.ca, and streaming free on CBC Gem. The Current's Matt Galloway will also be live in London to host our CBC Radio News special, along with Marcia Young, starting at 5:30 a.m. Eastern. That's 7 o'clock on the island, 6:30 in most parts of Labrador. Well, it was a cold, wet, and windy day back in June 1997 when Queen Elizabeth landed in Bonavista for Cabot 500. Tens of thousands turned up for those celebrations. There were tributes, performances, not to mention that full-size wooden replica of the Matthew, which made the impressive more than month-long crossing over from Bristol. We've dipped into the Here and Now archives to bring you some of what the Queen had to say when she addressed that massive crowd.
Your Majesty, it gives me great pleasure
pleasure I share with all the people of Newfoundland and Labrador to ask you to address us on this historic occasion.
I am delighted to be here to mark the anniversary of an historic event, the completion of the voyage of Giovanni Caboto, as he was in his native Italy, to Canada. Prince Philip took similar pleasure in seeing the Matthew of today sail from Bristol earlier this year. That extraordinary voyage of discovery was the beginning of the affectionate relationship that has existed between Great Britain and Newfoundland and Labrador ever since. Many great achievements begin with a dream. As Rick Hansen said 10 years ago when he completed his world tour, "You see, dreams do still come true." John Cabot's dreams came true in the shape of Newfoundland and Labrador and of Canada. The dreams of countless thousands of Canadians are still coming true. I know that the determination and tenacity, especially typical of Newfoundland and Labrador, will combine with the vision which inspires to ensure that the challenge of the next century can be met and triumphantly overcome. As we look back on all that Cabot lived for, and on what the land he found has given us, let us salute that brave sailor and pray that we may, God willing, inherit some of his marvelous vision and courage. Canada's next 500 years will be then as glorious as its past.
Well, hopefully you're out squeezing out this last little bit of sunshine across eastern areas of the island. It does look a bit unsettled going forward. I'll have the long-range forecast coming up.
Let's check back in with Ashley, who's out enjoying that last bit of sunshine out there in St. John's Harbor. Ashley, it gets dark so much earlier these days.
It certainly does. Curtis, my camera person, and I were just talking about that and how we're squeezing that last little bit of sunshine out of today because it was such a beautiful day. And unfortunately, tomorrow things are going to get a bit more unsettled pretty much across the board. So let's take a look at that forecast quickly. We're going to say goodbye to the 20-degree temperatures as well. So down to the teens tomorrow, single digits up across the big land, but we are looking at that chance of showers pretty much across the board. Few peaks of sun in the mix, but you'll see where those winds are. So we've got that area of low pressure counterclockwise, so northwesterly winds for the west coast and then that southwesterly wind for the eastern half of the island, and they'll be pretty gusty, anywhere from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Still looking at that potential for some snow in the mix as well in the morning anyway for Lab West, and then that should change over to rain. There's that area of low pressure offshore. That's pretty much going to park itself there for the next couple of days and be our weather maker as well. So things on Saturday are also going to stay unsettled through the day pretty much across the board. Likely in the morning is when we'll see the showers and then some clearing skies as we head towards the evening hours. But again, cool, on the cool side for sure. Around this time of year, should be sitting around 16 or 17 degrees. Most of the island between 12 and 15, and then up across the big land, about 8 to 13 degrees as your daytime highs. As we head into Sunday, not much of a change as far as the forecast goes because that area of low pressure is still sitting offshore. Rain the story for Labrador, and again, a few showers or flurries in the mix for the west, and then showers the story across the island. Now taking a look at the long range forecast, not much of a change as well, anywhere from 13 to 16 degrees, those overnight lows between 7 and 8 for St. John's and Eastern Newfoundland. And for Central, you're looking at your temperatures dipping in the overnight, getting pretty close to zero there, 2 to 5 degrees through the overnight. And then Western Newfoundland, you're looking at a similar forecast. Now for Eastern Labrador, temperatures will start to warm up as we get into next week. And then for the West, you're looking at a nice start to next week anyway, between 11 and 13 degrees. Had to share this photo. Just take a look at that beauty shot. The lights are dancing away in Cartwright. Jeff Martin shared that great shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to Facebook, Twitter, or email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca. Carolyn?
Wow, that is breathtaking. Just a great shot.
Yeah,
thank you so much,
is.
Jeff, for that. And thank you, Ashley. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thanks, Carolyn.
Well, anxiety, stress, grief, they are difficult emotions to deal with at any age. Experts say children can benefit from play therapy using toys to act out their feelings and struggles, and it can help healthcare providers get a sense of how the child views their life. Our CBC cameras got a glimpse inside one clinic in Charlottetown.
Play therapy is just as talk therapy is for adults. Children will often play out the challenges that they have, or maybe the anticipatory fears they have, or you can really get a sense of how a child views life and challenges by watching them play. So a play therapist has very specific toys in their playroom that will provide the child with the ability to use those toys. Instead of using words, they can play out how they're feeling. This dollhouse is really wonderful. It gets used a lot by children who have experienced lots of moves in their life. So as a result of perhaps foster care or maybe homelessness, so they can open up each door and tell a story about that part of their life where they lived. We'll often have kiddos come and play through some traumas, which is why the emergency vehicles are helpful. And grief and loss issues. So important to have miniatures that represent different family members. And then often, especially since COVID, we're seeing such an increase in children experiencing anxiety. Each of these miniatures is intentionally here to represent an experience that someone would have, and they can use this miniature to depict that experience in the sand tray. So really important to have miniatures that reflect different cultures and faith traditions. Most play therapists will also have a sand tray. A sand tray is used not just for little people, but also adults. Play really kind of sets the stage for creating safety and comfort. It's so important to really take some time and kind of get in touch with what are the activities and play-based activities that bring you joy. How can we feel more grounded and happy just in ourselves and with others around us? And go do that thing.
Well, before we leave you tonight, here's an interesting little tidbit. A Hollywood actor was spotted on the island. Ben Stiller was seen on the Bonavista Peninsula. Skipper Bob Bartlett of Trinity Eco Tours came across the Zoolander star while in Port Union and snapped this photo with him. Stiller told Bartlett that he and a crew are scouting film locations in Trinity and Port Union for an upcoming project. So I wonder what that will be about. Will it be a movie, a TV series? Who knows? But whatever it is, we hope that he is enjoying his visit to that beautiful part of the province. That's pretty neat. And we hope that you enjoyed being with us for this Thursday edition of Here and Now, and we hope to see you again tomorrow. Good night.